You ever met someone who you thought you knew for a very long time and then you were one-on-one with them, maybe after a couple drinks, and some more interesting neurodivergent topic gets brought up, probably by your autistic self, and you see that he could actually hang and that he is actually very intellectual as well? This could have been some guy from your work or someone at your school, but your whole life, forever, how many months or years you've known him, you've only seen the neurotypical side of him, and he's just been like a pleasant guy to be around, so you've always hung out with him. But then there's that one day where you see the introspective, intellectual, highly intelligent side of him, and it's just that much more impressive because this guy didn't go about flaunting it in any way. When you first met, he didn't make it out his mission to prove how smart he was. In fact, if anything, he actually hid it. He actually hid the fact that he was highly introspective and an intellectual, deep thinker. And so when this is finally revealed, this guy who you already like, just typical neurotypical blue pill guy that you just enjoy the company of, and then all of a sudden one day it's revealed that he actually shares a lot of similar thoughts as you, and even if he doesn't and you enlighten him on some of them, he's open-minded enough to consider a lot of the ideas because he's very intelligent. And it's just that much more remarkable. It's like you admire it that much more because you're like, holy shit, this guy didn't make it out to be his mission to prove how fucking smart he was. If anything, he was hiding it intentionally, deliberately. And it's that much, it makes him appear that much more brilliant. Even if he isn't brilliant, it makes him appear more brilliant. Anyway, just the point of today's video, I wanted to teach you guys. I've already highlighted the importance of playing dumb in general on the main channel, especially when it comes to strategy. It's something like deception, if it's necessary for a business move or something, whatever you're doing in life. But in general, not just playing dumb, but in general, you just don't want to go around trying to show off how much of a deep thinker you are, how much of an intellectual you are, how much of a philosopher you are. Because I guarantee you, in those initial first reactions, nobody gives a fuck. I know a lot of midwits like to say, hey, I'm so sick of the small talk, I hate small talk. I hate talking about the weather and shit. Something Elisha Long, the guy who coined the term retard maxine, he's pretty neurotypical for the most part, but he occasionally says some things of substance, so I like watching him sometimes. He said something really great. He said, small talk, you idiots, is the gateway to having those more intellectual conversations. And this is something that autistic, neurodivergent people, especially when they're midwits, just can't seem to fucking grasp. They think that they're above small talk because they've got such a fucking ego. Like, oh, you've got a 118 IQ and you think you have a 128 IQ. Oh, because you took an online test. Oh. Yeah, these people think they're above small talk because they lack like simple social awareness. There's so many highly intelligent people who not only have the high IQ, but they also have high practical intelligence, like social awareness and charisma. And it's so funny seeing how differently somebody who's like 135 IQ with no practical intelligence versus a 135 IQ with practical intelligence, how differently they maneuver in their everyday life. The one with no practical intelligence, it's like He doesn't see the consequences of how he's behaving. And he's the type of guy who you'll find in Discord chats who will argue against this kind of advice, and he'll say like, man, that's some weak, that's weak. You should always be yourself, like be who you are. You shouldn't try to put on a mask or whatever. And that is very short-term, undisciplined thinking, I think. I think a lot of good things in life come from like delayed gratification. And it's very like simple-minded to think that you always need to be 100% like fully yourself and put all your cards on the table right away. Now, I'm not saying to like be somebody else and like try to intentionally extend yourself and try to fabricate a persona or whatever. No, I'm just saying like tone it down a little bit and don't extend yourself and make a fucking effort to show off your gift. Because okay, great. You got a 118 IQ. Congratulations, you're above average. And you've probably had some interesting thoughts. But do yourself a favor and just shut the fuck up. Because most normal people, even if they're more intelligent than you, some guys who IQ mog you, they're like 125 IQ, and they're just listening to you yap, thinking you're so fucking smart, but they also have the practical intelligence to know to not fucking yap about this random shit when you're out having beers with the boys or whatever, It's like normal social intelligence. And yeah, these fucking midwits, and remember, just because I'm observing midwit behavior doesn't mean I'm above them. I'm fucking retarded, okay? I just make some observations here and there. And this is so ironic, I know, because I'm making these videos, but there's so much nuance in this, like, this is a specific channel towards a specific demographic thanks to the algorithm. It's not like I'm talking this way in my regular okay, we're not going to go down that. And there is always trade-offs to acting this way. I know people might see this, but there's a trade-off with that risk. I don't give a fuck, because that's a catch-22. If people in my real life come across these videos, then the probability is that I'm already making some decent like return off my investment with these videos. So yeah, it's a nice catch-22. That's why I don't give a fuck at all. Anyway, you should go through your, I'm not going to say you shouldn't, like, you do whatever the fuck you want. How I live, though, I don't feel the need to go about trying to prove how smart I am. And it's not even about that. Sometimes it's just about taming your neurodivergent thoughts. Because maybe it isn't about the ego. Maybe you genuinely are just so fascinated by these topics that you just have an urge to talk about them. And that was me, honestly. Even when I was a young kid, I remember this girl had a crush on me, and I was hanging out with her, my friend, and a girl who had a crush on him at the time. And because I'm fucking retarded and neurodivergent, while they're like talking about neurotypical stuff, we're like laying on the trampoline one night, they're talking about like neurotypical stuff, like some music and shit. I'm looking up at the stars and just like wondering about space, and I start yapping about, supernovas and like how interesting all that shit is. Like, I wish I knew just to shut the fuck up, but no. You know what? I'm happy. Amor, fati. You gotta embrace fate. You gotta love fate. I'm glad it all played out like this, because I love my life currently. I'm glad every single fucking thing played out the way it did. But anyway, after that, I heard through the grapevine that that girl didn't want to hang out with me anymore because she thought I was weird. This was a girl who thought I was like attractive. This is when we were young, but yeah, she thought I was attractive. She had a crush on me and everything, and I fucking blew it because neurodivergent, like autistic thoughts just had to fucking yap. And it wasn't even like I was trying to prove how smart I was. So yeah, you got to tame this. If you made your way onto this channel, unfortunately, you're not neurotypical. Some of you are less neurotypical, more neurotypical than others, but to a degree, if the algorithm suggested this video to you, the YouTube algorithm suggested this video to you, there is a very high probability that there's something a little bit different with you, and that's okay. I've expressed many times that I believe the neurodivergence is more of a strength than a weakness overall, and it's got its downsides, it's got its caveats. Like, for example, I can't really enjoy non-ROI activities. I have to try to make an effort to enjoy them, which I've been practicing lately. I've been practicing trying to get better at just enjoying life. Yeah, could you imagine that? Like, I have to try to fucking enjoy life. I was just walking here to Little Italy, and the Knicks game is on tonight. I have no interest in sports at all, unless I'm playing the sport. Like, when I used to play football, I would watch football a lot. When I like UFC because I do Muay Thai. Especially when I was in my fight camp, I was watching UFC like every Saturday. But, you know, like, I see that as studying. Anyway, I have no interest in sports, so I see all these normal folks outside the bar, one of the bars that I'm walking into here, and they're all collectively like cheering, very emotional, and a lot of like neurodivergent people, especially midwits, will like frown upon this behavior because they can't like understand it, and they'll be like, man, I can't understand that. I can't get behind that. Like, Clavicular often condemns this stuff too. It's like, you're completely misprioritizing your life, but you got to understand it from their perspective, and it's a completely different brain chemistry than what we have, and I understand it full well, and I don't frown upon it. Rather, I actually admire it. I admire it because I can't do that naturally. Like, I can't just watch the basketball game and enjoy it and get in the moment and involved and be cheering with everyone unless I'm making a conscious effort to do so. So if I wanted to, I could go up into that crowd of people and use my acting skills to blend in and try to immerse myself in it like an actor would. And I could, you know, and I'd probably have a little bit of fun, but there'd be a conscious effort behind it. It wouldn't be natural. It wouldn't be organic. And this is something that 99% of people just organically do, you know? I find it fascinating. I find it admirable, like seeing all those people get together and cheer for a common ground. I always like that stuff. Seeing humans congregate together with a common goal, some kind of common ground, has always fascinated me. And it doesn't always have to be a goal. It could just be like something they share in common. Like, I used to get these random videos in my algorithm of strangers randomly starting singing on the train in New York City, and then other strangers would start to like sing along, and together they would all like then be singing. I thought it was so cool. I always thought that shit was so interesting. Like, it also like made me feel like a little emotion too, like a good emotion. I was like proud of them, even though I don't know these people. I was like, wow, this is awesome, you know. Like, or if you ever seen some of those old concerts, like huge crowds of people singing along to a Michael Jackson song, or maybe something like Bohemian Rhapsody, and they're like all singing together when they cut the music and you just hear the humans all singing together. I find it so interesting. So yeah, I don't condemn that behavior. I don't frown upon it. It's like, I know it's not me. I have a different mind. We've talked about perspectives before. I understand it though, and I don't frown upon it. I don't think that they're like less than me because I enjoy that. I think it's cool. I find it interesting. But anyway, that's quite the tangent. I don't know what we were talking about that got us there exactly. Anyway, the main point of the video, though, is like, you don't have to always go about seeming like you're above small talk and trying to show off how deep of a thinker you are. It's going to lead to a lot of, like, negative ramifications. You know, a lot of these people, they're going to argue. They're going to say, you should just be yourself all the time. You shouldn't put a mask on. It's really more nuanced than that. You're not, like, putting on a full mask the same way, like, some people put on a mask by wearing, like, fake designer shit and pretending they're someone they're not. Nah, it's more nuanced than that. It's not to that degree. And there is, like, fine balances between things. And these people are looking at it black and white, like, oh, you have to be 100% cards on the table all the time. You don't. Like, you're just trying to relish in that enjoyment right away all the time. You're trying to relish in that moment of, like, I need to just show off, like, my intelligence and get these deep thoughts out. You're trying to relish and enjoy that moment. And that's great for your short-term pleasure, but long-term, it's not ideal. And I'm sure you'll understand that delayed gratification, like, there's so many good things that come from postponing that delight. Like, thinking a little bit more fucking long-term. Try to be a little bit more disciplined with how you present yourself. And now this is going to get some of you too much in your head. It's going to take practice, you know, like, yeah, you want to retard max, yes, listen to your intuition, but there's a balance too, you know, it's not a black and white thing. Nothing is black and white. So try to go through, you do what you want. I try to go through life where I don't feel the need to put all my cards on the table and show off, like, oh, I think about all these deep things all the time, because that's going to lead to you getting ostracized really quick. People are going to think you're weird because they're neurotypical and they don't understand you the same way that maybe you could understand them. Because if you're very introspective, you probably could take the time to understand the neurotypical person. But the neurotypical person is not going to take the time to understand the neurodivergent person, and you have to be aware of that. So maybe be a little bit more disciplined with your fucking tongue. Don't feel the need to show off everything you know about the black pill and genetic determinism and philosophy that you follow and everything you heard on the Julius Perceiver and Tales channel. Just shut the fuck up. Do yourself a favor. When politics get brought up and you notice some retard mention a contradiction, because that's, like, so common with people involved in politics. They constantly contradict themselves and they don't even fucking see it. Instead of feeling that urge to, like, go correct them, just practice shutting the fuck up. Just letting them yap. And then maybe you start a conversation about the wonderful food that is on the table. You know, talk about how juicy the steak is. So yeah, there's, like, a degree of dumbing yourself down with it too. Like, that's a great crutch. And, like, you don't even have to try to act neurotypical. Literally just tame your tongue to start. Because if you have to try really hard to act neurotypical, some of you who are really, really fucking autistic, it could be a burden on your brain, and you might be too in your head, and you do want to retard max too, and it's going to be different for every one of you. Some of you are going to be able to act more fluently. Some of you maybe just need to just shut the fuck up a little bit more. But again, like, don't let that paralyze you. Don't let all this paralyze you. If you notice yourself getting paralyzed and getting anxious and in your own head, if it gets to that point, just drop whatever I'm saying and just let go. Just let go. Because I understand, like, some of you will be in that position. But for the most part, I think you guys are hearing my advice. I figure this would be a good opportunity to show you the dual meaning of my tattoos. So, you see one here, and you see one here. right? They're dual purpose, and they're in different languages. One, this is Italian, and it's a word that even non-Italian speakers will understand. It's a very common one to understand. Amore, to love. So that one should be easy to get, and it looks like a regular, just like a regular common fuckboy tattoo. And that's precisely how I want it to come off, which goes with the theme of today's video. You don't need everyone to think that you're an intellectual. It's better that some people think that you're neurotypical and maybe even retarded. Especially women. Especially women. Being like highly intelligent and intellectual, it is not paired with the alpha side of desire. It's paired with the beta side of desire, which is important for a long-term relationship, but just for the desire aspect, like when you're first getting to know a woman, if you are someone who can generate some of that desire, well, you want to make sure that's, the best you could do, because some of you, unfortunately, won't be able to. If you're sub 5, then just fully embrace the beta, probably. But if you're like 6 and up, maybe 5.5 and up in some cases, then you wanna try to max out that alpha desire aspect, and part of that is not showing off to girls that you're an intellectual. They do not pair well. Yes, girls do like intellectuals, but from the beta side of desire. You gotta understand there's alpha and there's beta. And yeah, girls like a mix of that when it comes to a long-term relationship, but in the initial stages, like the honeymoon phase, if you're starting off generating some desire, you want to max out that alpha side. And that means not talking intelligent. That means don't have deep conversations with her. That means dumb yourself down a little bit, and at the very least, just shut the fuck up with all of these neurodivergent topics. Don't bring this shit up. Ever. So anyway, that's one of the tattoos. Amore. Basic fuckboy tattoo. That's exactly how I want to come off to these girls. And even these girls that you see in the context guide that, like, I've been seeing for long periods of time, like, almost all of them think that I'm fucking, like, crazy and probably not, like, retarded, but, like, definitely, like, reckless and stupid. And that's exactly how I want it. That's exactly how I want it. See, they're cheering for the Knicks game. So I'm thinking maybe they just won. Or, like, I could see the TV in one of them. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but you could hear, like, the excitement. And this is a little Italy. People aren't even watching the basketball game much here. All of New York City is fucking electric. It is crazy. And you see, I don't frown upon this behavior. I find this so interesting. All of them are getting wrapped up in the game and getting emotional about the game, but I'm getting, like, wrapped up in how they're behaving. I'm finding it so fascinating how they're getting involved. God, I'm so fucking autistic. But anyway, I think they just won. Yeah, there's, like, people yelling at the windows. It's fucking electric. You can feel it. I kind of, like, feel part of it. And it's like you feel like an energy come through your body when you're encompassed by these people who are sharing the same common ground. I mean, this is what it must have felt like during war, when you win a battle. Or, I mean, I remember when I used to play football and we would fucking win a game. Like, it's an amazing feeling when, like, you all share a common goal and you, like, cheer together. Like, it is sick. If I hadn't, they won.
Don't break up. The Knicks are up 2-0.
Like, I love that shit. I think that's so cool. I'm not watching the game. I'm not invested in the game, but there's like people yelling out their window because they're like excited. Because we're all New Yorkers. We all share the common ground of being in New York City and rooting for the same team. It feels cool, like. So yeah, like don't feel like you're so above all this shit. Don't feel like you're above all this, like you're above small talk, you're above watching sports and all. Like, look, I can't really enjoy watching sports, but I understand it. I understand why people like it. And I don't look down on them for doing that. I think it's fascinating how all these people congregate together and they like, it's sick. Like, it's really cool. And you feel it. Like when these guys are yelling out the window, like I felt it. That felt really cool. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't get to the other tattoo. This one, it's in a different language. And it means fate, destiny. And obviously you guys know I'm a determinist. I believe everything's predetermined. Since the Big Bang, every single particle in the universe is determined, and yes, that includes the particles in your brain. So there's no free will, it's just an illusion. This is what most physicists tend to agree on, except for the ones that try to excel their career through pandering to certain groups and coming up with stupid theories like compatibilism, which is cope. But real physicists, they know that everything's fully determined. But you don't have to believe that. Anyway. So yeah, this means fate, destiny. It's a pretty way of saying it. That in itself, I don't want to have to explain to most people. So I have it in this language because I know the majority of people are not going to read it. Now, there's another meaning when you combine both of these together. Some of you may be familiar with it if you've read Nietzsche before. Amor fati, to love fate. And it's rooted in Stoicism, and you guys know how big I am on Stoicism. Stoicism is very comforting to me. It's a philosophy that brings me great comfort in my life. It's like my rock. It's helped me through a lot of difficult times, and even before I started studying Stoicism a few years ago, I had naturally adopted these tendencies, and it just seems so aligned with a lot of my biology. Because I started reading, from Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus. I started reading, and I'm like, this is how I already think. Like this, so many things are just perfectly aligned with my mentality. I'm like, wow, I found a philosophy that I feel very congruent with. Now, there are some things that I'm incongruent with, and I've actually made a video about my dilemma with them, particularly ambition. And Alexander the Great dealt with a similar conundrum too. And that's where the famous line comes from, if I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes. And a lot of people think, a lot of fucking midwits, they fucking think that they're smart by saying like, oh, Alexander was just trolling Diogenes. Yeah, they had a relationship, this like big brother, little brother teasing, but Alexander admired many philosophers and he acknowledged their wisdom, even if he didn't align with everything they preached. And even though he's kind of like being silly, the fucking bikes, be stoic. I think you'll be able to hear me with this mic though. Let's see if I can focus and not lose my train of thought. Even though Alexander recognized the wisdom in being content with nothing but the bare minimum, he recognized in himself that he's Alexander the Great. He's just meant to conquer, born to be ambitious. And I share that same that same ambition naturally. And I don't think I can ever conquer the need to conquer. I forget who it was who said it. Maybe it was Socrates who said something like, I've conquered the need to conquer. And it's so powerful. It's like you could have a higher quality of life than someone who has everything in the world by being satisfied with nothing. But there's some things that are just too incongruent with my biology, and that's one of them. If you'll recall from one of the recent videos, I made a video talking about when you should fight your biology and when you should embrace it. And I showed how it's like a spectrum. I tried to help you guys envision it like a spectrum, and you're gonna lie towards one end or the other. Let's say you're in the middle of the spectrum, like you're only kinda ambitious. Maybe you could fight it and then be stoic with your practice of stoicism. But me, I'm all the way on the side of the spectrum that's highly, highly ambitious. And so it wouldn't make sense for me to fight it. That's the conclusion I came to. There are certain things in your biology where you may have to come to the decision to just fully embrace them, even if there's good arguments to fight them. And then there's certain ones that are undeniable, like to the broad majority of human beings alive, to be objective goods and bads. And I say broad majority of people because like everything is subjective to a degree, but there's certain things like being fat, which for the most part we know we should fight. Some guy left a comment on that video though, and he was like, well, some nuance I want to add. And he commented a bunch of other stuff, which he made some good points and all, but I wanted to highlight this in particular, which like, he commented, you have to weigh how important that is to that person. And it's like, yeah, like I guess even with the truly objective goods, like being fat, you have to weigh how much effort it would take compared to how valuable it is to them. But it's like, this is the type of like thing that you just don't need to point out. Like, I don't need to spoon feed all these little fucking things to you guys. I feel like just use your fucking head. You don't have to point out every single bit of nuance and everything all the time. But sorry if that offended the guy who commented it. You said a lot of other good stuff, but that's another thing with the topic of today's video. Don't feel the need to always point out people's, like, correct people on shit and whatever. Like, just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. You don't need to prove how smart you are. You don't need to prove in a comment, like, oh, you could acknowledge the nuance in this. Oh, yes. How could I have forgotten to mention the fact that some people who are predisposed to being fat are going to have a very, very high struggle with losing the weight. So they might have to consider how much effort is going to be needed and weigh that, like, yeah, that's true. But I think we all could broadly consider that being fat is bad and should be fought for the most part. Like, do we really need to highlight that nuance? So that's the point, what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to... Because I feel like the main reason he was commenting all that stuff was honestly to show to me, like, that he's an intelligent viewer. And he is. He was a smart guy. He wrote a lot of good stuff. But, like, you don't need to do that. And I think maybe what provoked him to do it is I prefaced that video by complimenting someone's comment. And, I mean, so what did I expect? Other people are going to try to replicate that behavior. But, yeah, don't feel the need to flaunt your intelligence. Don't feel the need to show off. I guess this is, like, the place to do it, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. This is the place to do it. The Julius Perceiver comment section in the Discord. Fair enough. But it doesn't change the facts that all this stuff still applies to me. It still applies to the people in the Discord. Like, you'd be surprised. You'd make more friends in that Discord, even filled with neurodivergent people, by not always flaunting your intelligence. And instead, maybe just trying to be witty here and there. Try that instead of, like, trying to prove everyone wrong with how differently you think and all. Like, oh, this guy's different. This guy thinks differently than all of us autists. He's a giga-autist. Instead, just try to be a little witty and make some jokes and make people laugh here and there. That's another video I got to talk about one day. Being witty, having some wit. Very important. Something my father is very good at. Naturally, effortlessly witty. It's an amazing trait. If there's any way to show off your intelligence in a smart way, it's through wit. Wit's a good way to do it. So yeah, together these tattoos, they mean Amor, fati, to love fate. No matter what happens, embrace it, find a way to love it. And I don't need everyone to know that. I don't need everyone to know how deep it is. I'm fine with people just saying, he's got some basic fuckboy tattoos. That's exactly how I want it. That's precisely how I want it. And then some people in my life, like I guess you guys watching the video, I'll share it with you. Alright, I think we covered everything I wanted to yap about. Later.